Hey everyone, it's me, John Lorden, here with another episode of Itchy Mysteries, and this is another bit of a different one, but there's certainly some mysteries to be solved in this. The film I'm talking about is called Deep Web, and this is essentially a film about cybercrime, or one particular cybercriminal. His name is Ross Ulbright, also known as the Dread Pirate Roberts. If you're not familiar with that term, it is from The Princess Bride, and something kind of unique about that character is that the Dread Pirate Roberts was a moniker that was handed down to different people, and it's believed that that kind of plays into why they chose that name for this guy Ross that was administrating a deep website known as Silk Road. Now, what's the big deal about this website? Well, apparently you could go there and buy any illegal drug that you wanted, and it was built on a principle of trying to eliminate violence with drug interactions and to get around the war on drugs, essentially by doing internet ordering and mail delivery of these substances. So, as you can imagine, that caught the attention of the authorities, and some of the links that they go to try to track down who this Dread Pirate Roberts person is and then prosecute him will certainly leave you scratching your head. And there's even an element in here of certain people being potentially targeted by murder for hire plots as well. So not quite your typical itchy mystery, but still I think it's a very important film. I wanted to share it with all of you. Let me read you the synopsis from IMDB.com. A feature documentary that explores the rise of a new internet, decentralized, encrypted, dangerous, and beyond the law, with particular focus on the FBI, capture of the Tor hidden service Silk Road, and the judicial aftermath. And I feel like that might overstate the scope of this film a bit. Quite honestly, the one thing that struck me about this movie is I think it's horribly titled. Deep Web is a very big topic. This film, I don't think, really goes into it at length. It does give you a good description of what the Deep Web is. Essentially, the Deep Web is just parts of the internet that are not indexed and they're not commercially viewable. So there's a lot of hidden mechanics that are going on just in typical internet use. And then outside of that, there is also this privacy layer that's been added by people that use this special type of browser called Tor, and that pretty much keeps them somewhat anonymous. But this movie even leads me to question how good of a service that is and if it truly works or not. But the bigger question is our government doing things inappropriately to try to bust people that are manipulating or using these types of systems? And this film certainly hits you from a point of view and leaves you with a distinct feeling after that, hey, our government did something kind of wrong in prosecuting this guy. I don't know if it's a completely fair and objective view of that, because it does appear to me that the people that were interviewed for this movie are all pretty firmly on one side of that conversation, with one exception. There's one guy that's interviewed, but the weight of this film is certainly on the side of that this guy should be looked up to as some type of hero, and he's being mistreated by our government. I certainly left with that feeling. And it's strange to think about that when you're talking about someone that is essentially creating a marketplace for drugs, but supposedly they're trying to be as responsible as possible. They even had a vendor talking about that, he would not sell his drugs to just anyone. He made sure that people knew that they were using it responsibly. I don't know. Those types of conversations are very hard to quantify and maybe justify. So, but it's tough because the big portion of this film is actually focusing specifically on Ross and what Ross is going through and what the methods that the government is using to try to take him down. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like I said, I think it just points back to the fact that this film is kind of badly mistitled. So just know, Deep Web, you're going to learn about this much about the Deep Web. You're going to learn a little bit more about this particular service called Silk Road, and you're going to learn a lot more about Ross. It even goes into his background. They interview friends of his from his youth, which is a great story. There's absolutely nothing wrong with telling that. And it will leave you with a good number of questions about the character of this guy, about the fact, do you really think that he went as far as the government is claiming he did, particularly with murder for hire plots and things like that? Do you think the government is overreaching? Do you think that there is a new version of justice that is happening around these cases that are based on internet as opposed to real life? A lot of questions that it should leave you with. Certainly left me with. I've been thinking about it pretty regularly since I finished watching it. So I saw it for free on Hulu. I don't think it's available on Netflix, but there are a handful of video on demand services where you can rent it for $3 or $4. You can also go to the official website. I'll have a link for it in the description box below. If you want to support the filmmakers directly, you can buy a copy through their website. And in kind of an interesting turn, the filmmakers you might actually know, particularly if you are a fan of the 80s. This movie was written and directed by Alex Winter. Does that name sound familiar? I know we haven't seen him in a while, but here's a little toy of him. Yeah, Bill from Bill and Ted's. And the next interesting part is it is narrated by Keanu Reeves. Unfortunately, George Carlin isn't around to be in this type of film. But these two guys working together again in a bit of a different capacity. You don't see anything in terms of Bill, Alex Winter, but you do get to hear a lot of Keanu do narration. And it's pretty interesting the way that they wrote this. There's some conversations that are happening in terms of them being typed, and I thought it was really cool that one side of the conversation, they just show you the words and you read it for yourself, and then the other side of the conversation, Keanu is narrating almost like he's that character. I thought that was really a cool mechanism. In terms of how it looks, there's nothing particularly outstanding. In terms of the music, it's kind of appropriate, just settles into the background and kind of keeps things moving. Nothing real extravagant on either of those fronts. It has won a handful of independent film awards. It came out in 2015, so a bit of a recent take on all of this. And maybe even a precursor to these two guys working together again. Apparently, Bill and Ted's 3 is now in development, at least according to IMDb and some interviews that Keanu has given recently. So, all in all, I enjoyed this. I believe it's a 7 out of 10. Let me nudge that down just a half point. I'll say a 6.5 out of 10, and let me tell you why. I don't think this film is for everyone. This film is for people that are interested in particular about internet age issues. If you're into Julian Assange, if you are into Edward Snowden, this film is a must for you. If those topics are a little bit outside of your scope, or you really kind of don't care about that kind of stuff, if you don't know what WikiLeaks is, this film might not do it for you. If you're kind of on the fence, maybe you're just a little familiar with those things, I'd say maybe give this film a try, because it does try to do a very good job of boiling this down to easy to understand components. You don't have to be some kind of computer super whiz to understand what's going on in this movie. They really explain it in a fair way. What I'm curious of, or what I believe, is that not everyone would have the interest level to even take that simple explanation to get to the next part of the story, which is really much more about Ross, who he is, how he came up. You spend a lot of time with Ross's family also, so you get a bit of a glimpse into their plight and how they're dealing with these things that their son is going through, and almost them being pushed into this new role of being a public figure for some of these issues. So a lot of really good stuff here. I think Alex Winter did a really good job directing. Like I said, I think that he could have looked into the other side of this topic a little bit more. All it would have taken would be maybe one or two more experts on the side of the government. You know, if he could have gotten maybe people from the prosecution, there's little news clips of them, but if he could have gotten like a sit-down interview, asked some really tough questions of them, I think it would have given him not only some great footage, but kind of a counterbalance to the weight of this film. This film certainly feels like it's pulling you in one particular direction. I don't feel like it's completely unbiased, which is just a little knock for me. And because of that, I don't know that you're getting a total, complete view of what's going on here. But I still recommend it. Is that weird or what? I think it's important, and I don't know that there's a lot of films about this type of topic, so I do think that you should check it out. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me here in the screening room. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next show on the Lord and Nerds channel.